So we're back, and now we're looking at this is slide 4, and these are causes of mutations that are not inherited. So remember, there are some genetic mutations, but if they're inherited, you got them from your mom and your dad. These are examples of causes of mutations that are not genetic in nature. So they are acquired, which means that they occur after you're born. Okay. And so one of them is exposure to chemicals. So there are certain chemicals in our environment that are cancer causing. And we know this now. They used to use asbestos to wrap pipes in buildings, and we now know that asbestos causes cancer. Roundup is an herbicide, a weed killer that you've probably heard about it in the news recently. A lot of people have gotten cancer, and it's attributed to that pesticide. And bacon, I'm sorry, I love bacon probably more than anybody else in this world. It should be its own food group, but bacon has preservatives in it, and those preservatives have been shown to cause cancer in mice. So you can be exposed to chemicals during the course of your lifetime, and those chemicals can cause genetic mutations. Exposure to radiation. So radiation it's a form of energy, and you probably would be most familiar with it if you have broken a bone, or they thought you broke a bone, or when you had x-rays done at your dentist, right? So you sit in the chair at the dentist and they put this lead apron on you. It's really heavy, and they use lead because x-rays won't go through lead. And they're putting it on you because they're trying to protect your ovaries that have eggs if you're a girl. And if you're a boy, they're protecting your testicles because that's where sperm come from. And so radiation can damage the DNA in those cells, and they're trying to protect it. Okay, so exposure to radiation, that kind of radiation, can cause permanent genetic damage. Viruses. So there are a bunch of viruses that can cause diseases and can cause mutations, right? And so one example that is really interesting is that there is a rat colony, a type of rat that is called the BB Wister rat now. This rat, at about 50 to 80% of the babies born, are actually diabetic. Now, these came from a colony of rats that were not diabetic, but there was a sewer pipe rupture in the bottom of the labs where they were being kept. And after it was all cleaned up, and they realized that some of these rats were now diabetic that were not previously diabetic. And like, oh my gosh, there must be something in the sewer, right? And so what they did, not exactly my fun line of work, but they found the virus in the sewer. So now they can take a syringe of a substance with the virus in it. They can inject the rats, and they can actually turn the rats diabetic. And so those rats that are diabetic have babies that are 50 to 80% diabetic as well. And so these rats are sold all around the world, and they're used in medical research. So that's an example of us using um, a mutation to our benefit, right? Doesn't really benefit the rat much, but hopefully it benefits our research. The next thing that can cause mutations is aging, right? And so aging, cells undergo the aging process, and fancy schmancy word for that is senescence. And so at the end of chromosomes, like you'll see here, these red things are called telomeres. And as a cell ages, right, most cells replicate and they replace themselves. And as they age, they replicate their DNA. And as we get older, that telomere gets shorter and shorter. And there's a direct link to some of the signs of aging that goes with the shortening of that telomere. So aging will do that as well. Hormones. So hormones are proteins in your body that do lots and lots of different things. They basically run your body, right? And so you're in middle school now, and so you're getting surges of hormones, and because you're going through puberty, right? So you're undergoing changes. Well, there are some chemicals in the environment that actually mimic hormones and can be cancer causing, and that's relatively new compared to some of these other things that we know about. Lifestyle is one that you have the ability to sort of control to a certain extent. So, lifestyle, if you smoke cigarettes, you're way more likely to get lung cancer. If you drink heavily, you are more likely to get liver cancers. Okay. Some cancers you have absolutely no control of, but lifestyle ones are ones that expose you to certain things that can increase the likelihood of you getting mutation, right? Of you getting some kind of genetic mutation. So remember, mutations are changes in DNA. Some of them you get from your mom and dad, those are inherited genetic mutations, and there's nothing you can do about those. Causes of radiation that are listed here, some of them you have more control of than others. If you find out how to control aging, please let me know.